Good morning, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions. And as you can see, I'm sitting here in the car. I'm getting ready to go into one of my favorite LCSs here in the Baltimore area, Cards, Comics, and Collectibles, a store that I have spotlighted on this channel multiple times at this point. This right here is the pre-Easter video. This is where I go into the store a few days before Easter and kind of check out and see what the inventory they have for their big, massive Easter sale that they have every year. And let me just remind you guys what kind of sale this is. They do 70% off of modern back issues, 30% off of their premium books, which is what I'm targeting. There's discounts on all the toys and statues, and usually a 50% discount on all the trade paperbacks, hardbacks, things like that. And it starts on Wednesday, right before the Easter weekend, and runs through that Sunday on Easter. And this is always a big deal around here in the Baltimore area because they always have some really great, expensive, premium books that if you can get that 30% discount on some of these things, you can get some pretty good deals. Well, I go in there a few days in advance, like I'm doing today, and I want to check out and see what there's available because I did this last year, and there was a Spider-Man 194 that I was targeting that I knew where it was. I know what the price was. I was comfortable at the time paying what I paid for it, and I knew where it was on the stands. I got here early. I was about the second or third person in line, and I went in. I made a beeline right for that comic, and just as I pick it up, I saw a hand come up right behind me. They were inches behind me trying to get that same book. So I come in advance and kind of scout out what they have so I'll know where everything is. And what I'll do is I'll also take photos of this. So what you'll get here is a montage of some of the books that I'm targeting. But I will do a little research when I get home. I'll write down the prices. That way I can really note the condition too. And I will figure out if that's something I want to get at that 30% discount or if it's something I want to bypass. So this should be fun. Hopefully I'll get this video out to you guys because I didn't realize Easter was coming up on us so fast. So I'm literally doing this the weekend before the big sale. So I'm going to have to do the filming, the editing for all of this. So if you actually see this show, know that I put a lot of work into this in very little time to get this out to you so you could see it before the big Easter sale here at Cards, Comics, and Collectibles. Anyway, sit back. I'm going to go in, check out the books. I will show you a montage, and then I will sit down and we'll talk about some of the keys that I really want to target for this sale when it comes up starting on Wednesday. So sit back. I will be right back.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right, everybody, I just finished up here at Cards, Comics, and Collectibles, kind of going through the books. I didn't go through everything, but I did a quick review, and I know where some of the better premium books are, and I kind of went through everything, and I'm going to show you some of the photos. We'll do a quick montage. There's not quite as many things I'm going to be targeting for this big sale as I normally have in the past, but that doesn't mean that some of these books that you're going to see aren't really good keys. And I'm going to sit down and I'm going to look at the prices and I want to see, even with that 30% discount on those premium books, is it going to be worth picking some of these up? This gave me a chance to look at the condition, and now I'll go back and I'll determine if that reduced price is going to still be worth getting that book. So sit back, enjoy the books, enjoy this little montage. It's going to be really quick because there really wasn't a lot of things that I'm really going to be hopping on. And there was still another case that had some ultra big keys in it, and I didn't go through that because it's in a locked case behind the counter, and I kind of know some of the things that are in there, and be quite honest, I'm not looking to spend a super ton of money here. I'm looking to find reasonable keys at reasonable prices that I can clean and press and maybe bump up to a better grade, get them CGC'd for the, whether it's for the collection or whether it's for resale. But I will go through some of those bigger books once I'm here on Wednesday. Maybe there's something in there that will fall into that category. I did look over, they did have a giant size X-Men #1, but I know I don't want to be dropping that kind of cash at this time. So we'll save that for later. That'll be a different thing that we will focus on once we get into kind of the big Comic-Con season for me. That would be Heroes Con, where I will look to trade something. But I digress, even though I'm not Peter David. So sit back, enjoy the montage. I will come back and I will do a recap after I get a chance to look at some of the prices, and we'll talk about some of the books that will be the top picks for me when I come to the big sale when it starts on this Wednesday. So I will be right back. All right, everybody, so you can tell that I am not in my normal Maryland location. I am actually down in my West Virginia home right now, and got a chance to sit down with all the photos that I took and look at the prices that they had on those books at Cards, Comics, and Collectibles, and figuring out their 30% discount on the premium books. And that's what every one of these books that I'm going to show you today are, except for one. So let's go through to start from the beginning. Batman Killing Joke. They've got an $80 price tag on that, so it's going to be $56. Well, currently, and what we're assuming, because I didn't take the comics out of the bags and boards to really look at the backs, and this is a book that's a prestige format, square bound, and I've made that mistake before buying this book. In fact, buying it at this same sale either a year or two ago, and I didn't look at the back. The front of it was immaculate, and I get to the back, and it's got some crunches on there that just, man, it was not going to be worth what I paid for it. Well, luckily these days the prices and the market's down, so the price that they had on there was $80, $56 with the discount. But then let's look at what a 9.8 is currently going for. Prices I've got that going for currently are $170 to $200. Now, we're just going to work under the presumption that every book I'm looking to get graded, the highest possible grade, and to basically turn around and sell. Maybe I might keep some of these in my collection, but let's just work under the assumption that I'm literally looking to sell these books after getting them graded. So 9.6, $170, $200, a 9.8, and then a 9.6 is $120 to $95. And that gives me a little bit of pause, and it tells me definitely I've got to look at the back of that book to make sure it's a 9.8 candidate. At $56, if 9.6s are going for $95, by the time I pay for cleaning, pressing, well, I do my own cleaning and pressing, and it's a square bound. I don't know how much that would help anyway. But the grading fees alone plus the postage probably wouldn't make it worth me getting this book at that $56 unless that back of the book looks immaculate. So that's it for the Killing Joke. Second thing up was something I just caught my eye. It wasn't on any kind of list. They had it on their wall. It was the Ultimate Invasion #1. It was the Brian Hitch foil variant of Miles Morales, and I thought it was a striking cover. In fact, it caught my eye because of that foil cover. Now, they had a price tag of only $15. That's $10.50 after the discount. 9.8s have recently sold for only $60. But it is such a new book, and with the interest in the new Ultimate Universe, people have been going back after the Ultimate Spider-Man hit and has hit big, going back and picking up some of the first issues in this new Ultimate storyline, and that would be Ultimate Invasion #1. And this is being this foil variant. Maybe it's a good thing to do. For $10.50, maybe it's worth getting at this point. All right, Third up is Captain Marvel number 32. This is part of that Jim Starlin original Thanos versus Captain Marvel storyline back in 1974, 73, 74. And this issue right here is the one that I, I'm not really happy with the grade that I've got in my collection. I've got an 8.5. I clean and pressed that book. I only spent $7 on that book. And I thought they graded it out as basically a fine minus book. And I think I bumped it up really good to at least an 8.5. But I felt like it was better than that. And as one of my 2024 goals, I want to get the complete Jim Starlin Thanos original run from issues 26 through 33 in grades up. I would like to see everything in at least a 9.4, but that I'm not completely needing that, to be honest with you. What I would really like is not to have that issue as an 8.5. I'd like to get everything over the 9.0 mark at the very least. 9.4 would be the one I would really kind of like at minimum. But this book right here, they've got a $30 price tag on it. It's $21. And then once I looked at the photo just a little bit closer, over on the right side on the front cover, looks like somebody caught the corner with their finger, and there is a color breaking finger bend right on the edge of the cover. So I will be passing on this book. I don't think this is a 9.4 candidate. So we'll pass on that. But the next issue, the last issue in that storyline, 33, they did have a really nice copy of that. And that issue right there, they had a $50 price tag, so it'll be down to $35. And that's really a good price if it's in as good a shape as I think it is. And the front of it just looked really good. Currently, 9.2s go for $150. 9.4s range somewhere between $100 and $150. So you can tell that people are paying different prices for this. But a 9.6 goes for $260. So that's a book right there that I would probably be interested in, as good as it is on the front cover. I went back, I took a look at the photos again, and the front, especially the spine, looks really good. Even though that is a very dark cover, the back comes around just a little bit, so you don't see really any color breaking spine ticks there. And then, as I said, a black cover, you don't have the corners any dog ears either. It's actually really nice. So that right there is probably the first strong candidate, other than an Ultimate Invasion. That's not going to be a big book, but this is a much bigger book. So I may pick that one up if I can get there and get in line before everybody else. All right, next up is Daredevil number 9, part of that great run with David Mack. I was going to say Kevin Mack. David Mack, and this is the first appearance of Echo. And that ended up, I don't know if you guys watched the TV show. I actually enjoyed it a lot, although I did not really care for that actress playing Echo. I don't know. It's not, when I see Echo, I picture her from what she was in the comic books, and that's not who that was on the TV show. I kind of wish it was more representative of the comic book. That was my only real issue, but I did enjoy that TV series. Anyway, first appearance, and I'm going to go with, you want a 9.8 on this. We're just going to go with that right there. 9.8s go from $185 to $149. That's really down over the last couple of years, just like everything else. But they had a $100 price tag on it, and I feel like that price is still reminiscent of what you're finding from the last couple of years, not what the current market is saying. That would be a $70 price tag after the discount, and I don't know if I want to put $70 on that book at this point unless I'm more than 100% guaranteed that that's going to be a 9.8. This is going to be a reoccurring theme on all of this, so I apologize because I'm going to repeat myself. It's got to be the candidate, whether it's a 9.8 or whatever I'm expecting. It's got to meet that grade to be really worth getting. Once it hits that next grade down, then a lot of these are just going to drop off the list. It's not going to be worth the risk unless the condition really is there. All right, next up is one that I would love to get as a raw, get graded and get that high top grade, but I'm probably pretty sure I'm not going to do it, even though it looked really good. It's Spider-Woman #1 from 1976. This is the first ongoing series issue plus a new origin. 9.8s only go for $170. 9.6s, the most recent was $135. And this, they still had a $100 price tag on this. You're talking $70 book, again, just like that Echo book. And you better hope you get your 9.8 on that, because if you get a 9.6, you've already spent more than what a 9.6 is out there on the market almost. Now, I will tell you this. I bought a 9.6. I believe I bought it off a Comic Link for under $100. So I've got this in my collection. So this book probably will get bypassed as well due to, unless it does really, if I really think it could be a 9.8, it's the only way I'll sniff on this book. All right, next up is a book that they have had at this shop for the last couple of sales, really, over the last year or so. And I keep wanting to get it because it's one that I sold early on back in 2020, 21, somewhere in there. I had a really nice raw of this. It is Red Sonja #1. And it's really nice. It's a $60 price tag, which would go down to $42. I just don't know if I want to put $42 in that book. 9.8s would go for $175. 9.6 is $100. Even with at $42 plus grading, if I get a 9.6, there's only a little bit of margin in there. It's not quite enough to make me want to get this book and see if I can push it to get that 9.6. I don't know. It's a little bit too risky for what I would consider very little return. Now, if you get to 9.8, that's a little bit different story, obviously, just like any of these. But I don't think that that is one I'm going to pursue as well. All right, now here's one that I'm always interested in, as long as it doesn't have any spine ticks and other non-pressable defects that I can immediately see. It's New Teen Titans #2, first appearance of Deathstroke, and they had a $200 price tag on there, and which would take it down to $140. And I will tell you this, for a book in this kind of condition, you go to a show, even up last year, people were selling these things for $200. That price tag's right on point for the condition of that book. For 30% off of that, $140, I may snap it up and not worry about what it grades out to be. 9.8 still go for about $669. 9.6s go for $200. And right now, I think that book has a real possibility. But I will tell you, I may end up saving that because Marv Wolfman is going to be at one of the big Comic Cons that I go to this year. I can't remember if it's Baltimore or Charlotte, but it's one of the two. And I may take that to get it signed. I'm not sure if I pick up this book. We'll see. All right, next up is a book that's really intriguing. It's one that I would consider keeping in my collection because most of the other ones that I've talked about so far, most of them are ones that I actually already have in the PC, but I've never had this book. It is Marvel Spotlight #28, the first solo story with Moon Knight. And this right here, I had the next issue, and in fact, I got a really good grade out of that book from my PC, and I ended up selling it probably more than a year ago, and I got a great price for it. In fact, it's one that I would consider buying back right now because the prices are so low. They've got a $150 price tag on this book, and it'd be $105. The condition's really nice, and nice enough for me to actually start putting down what a 9.8 would go for. 9.8s right now go for over $1,300. 9.6s range, because I saw a couple prices over the last few weeks, from $150, somebody got a great deal, to $450. 9.4s, $275, 9.2s, $225. That tells me I've got some play in this if I want to get it, try to get it graded, and if I got a super good grade on it, I may want to resell that and actually make a little bit of money on this. That book right there is really intriguing to me. So that's going to be high on my list. It may be the #1 book, as well as that Teen Titans right now. When I go in that store, I may make a beeline right to that book. And I do kind of remember where these books were. It's why I go in here a couple days in advance to see where things are. All right, next up is another book I'd love to have in the PC. And this book, price looks really good on this. Condition also, it looks really good too. It's Marvel Presents #1. It's the Bloodstone. And I've never had this issue. I enjoyed his sort of, I guess, appearance on the Werewolf by Night. what was it? Over a year ago, they put out The Werewolf of the Night on Disney Plus. Probably one of my favorite things from a year ago. Actually, more than a year ago at this point, because last Halloween they put out the colored version of that. So that right there, by the way, that right there on Disney Plus is one of the best things they have done, I think. And they had, of course, Ulysses Bloodstone on that. Now, this is the issue where you first appearance and everything. They had a $50 price tag on this, which means $35. $35 for this. And I said, as I already said, the condition looks really good. 9.8 still go from $204 to $300. 9.6 has dropped down to $100 to $144. So as long as I can keep it at 9.6 range or above, we're doing really good. All right, here's a book I've been targeting recently, but I'm only going to get it if I really like the book, and it's got to be practically spine tick free, and it's Man Thing #1. And I just love that Frank Bruner artwork, especially on the covers. They've got a $200 price tag on it, though. It's $140, and I think that is way overpriced right now for this market. And I don't think 9.0s, I mean, I'll put it this way. It's got some defects, enough so that I put a 9.0 and an 8.5 as my range right down here, close to what I think this book might grade out to be. So even 9.0s are $200 to almost $300. 8.5s, 185 to 175. There's no margin in this for a mistake. And I will probably bypass this and wait till I find a much better copy. Now, that doesn't mean that I won't take another quick look at it, but at that price tag, I think I'm going to pass on it. All right, here's a book that was kind of popped up, but it's just a beautiful Neal Adams cover. It is Batman 235 from April 1971. You've got Talia al Ghul making another appearance, and of course, Denny O'Neil stories. It's an older book, right? And I wasn't sure. The book looked really good. Those spines back in the day, they did that really interesting spine on that, or at least it's technically on the front cover. And you'll have to look at the cover a little bit closer to see what I'm talking about. But I couldn't see any real issues with this copy. It looked really nice. Enough so that I hedged my bets on this, and I put down a 9.0 or a 9.2 to an 8.5 range on this. Now, let me give you the price, what they've got. They've got an $80 price tag for $56 in after the discount. So $56 for this really nice looking Batman, Neal Adams, Denny O'Neil book. Let's just start with the 8.5s, $239 to $400. 9.0s, $520 to $469, and then a 9.2 from $1,200 to $350. Price is a little bit all over the place right there, but for $56 and then the grading fees, I think this is a book that's worthy of being picked up at a really good price. I think it might be a good risk to pick that one up. All right, only a few books left. Here's one. I do have this in my PC as a raw, and in fact, I have it as one of the Power Records books from the early 70s, probably 74. It is Captain America 168, and this is the first appearance of Helmut Zemo, the son of the original Baron Zemo. All right, so I just lost my light, so sorry about the change in the atmosphere here, but we're going to continue right now and just wrap this up. First appearance of Helmut Zemo, he was portraying the character Phoenix in the story, and he met his demise at the end, or at least that's what they thought. It wasn't until years later when you've got DeMatteis and Zek on this book on Captain America that we reveal what happened, and he took on the mantle of Baron Zemo, the second Baron Zemo. They've got a $140 price tag on this, which would make it $98. To me, that is way overpriced at this point, even at $98. You'd have to be really sure that and this book isn't the best book I've seen. 9.0s go for $175, 8.5s, $110, and even 9.2 actually I saw it for $128. If you wanted to buy this book and were happy with those kind of grades, I would just buy the book graded and not worry about playing this game. I think $98 for this is way too much. I'd have to have that down into for that condition, I'd have to have it around that $50 to $60 range before I'd really start to consider this book at this point. I may be off on that. I mean, I didn't go so deep onto this to see if that was a good price or not. I just wasn't comfortable. I'm not comfortable with the raw price when I see how low the graded prices are. All right. Last big book. Well, actually, there's two that's still in the premium boxes, but the second one here will sort of shock you about how low 9.8s have gone. But right before that is Invaders #1. And this right here is a really nice copy. I don't know if it's a 9.8 candidate, but in fact, I didn't even put 9.8 on the list here. I put 9.6 at $221 if you wanted to get that graded. You guys know, if you follow me at all, I am working on an Invaders run of every issue from 1 to 41, including the 2 giant size books, and I think it's an annual. I think I've got that right. I think that's what they are. And I've already got issue 1, so I may pass on that just for that fact alone, that I've already got a really nice copy that's in there in my shop for a clean and press. And for $56, they've got an $80 price tag on this. For $56, I think I'm going to pass on it. 9.4s, 140, 9.2s, 129, 9.0s, 8.0. I think that I'm going to pass, unless after taking another look at it, maybe I'll reevaluate that and we'll take a chance. I don't know. But right now, I'm going to pass on that. All right, the book I mentioned there that I'm so shocked about what the 9.8s are going for these days, I may pick it up anyway because it's still a really good key at a really, really good price. It is Legends #1, the first issue in that miniseries with John Byrne doing the artwork. And the first issue is the first appearance of Amanda Waller, who is a big character in DC and in the DC movies. You've seen her in Suicide Squad, both movies. You know she's going to be a central character in the James Gunn universe as well. They had a $15 price tag on this, and the book's in really good shape. So that's $10.50. So for $10.50, I would think, okay, it's an automatic. And I'd be an automatic to get it graded because, hey, I remember 9.8s were doing pretty good, right? Well, I just looked. A 9.8, the most recent one, just sold for $60. Man, I'll tell you, just go out there and buy your $60 9.8 on that and be done with this. I don't know. I should just do that. But that'd be fine for the PC, but not for a resale. Maybe down the road, maybe it becomes a bigger book again. I don't know. But we'll see about that. That just shocked me that it was only $60. And then the last book was actually not in the premium books, but it is in just the regular modern back issues. And there you go from a 30% discount all the way to a 70% discount. And this is going to be a no-brainer. I'll pick this up because I've got a project in mind I'm going to be working on coming up in the next month or so. It is Countdown to Infinite Crisis. It is the preview issue to all that. And you've got this beautiful Alex Ross cover. In fact, I've got this somewhere on my PC, but I couldn't find it when they were doing the Alex Ross signing at CGC, because this is a book that I would have considered sending in. That such a beautiful cover. Well, I saw that they had this, and I like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull this out and just have it ready if they do another Alex Ross signing. But then I realized, oh yeah, you've got Jeff Johns. Sorry, I was blanking there for a second. Jeff Johns, who did the writing on this, and Rags Morales, who did the pencils in here. And I don't know if it's every page or not, but Rags Morales did the pencils. And I'm going to be seeing Jeff Johns at Third Eye Comics for a signing here in the next 2 weeks. And I'm considering going up to Philadelphia for the Fan Expo, where Rags Morales is going to be, as well as Jeff Johns too. But there's a chance to get both of them to sign this book. So I may do that just as a project piece to get both creators on this book and save it down the road for it. Who knows if I'll ever get to meet Alex Ross in person. I could always have that book ready for that at that point. But guys, that is it. What I didn't look at the show is, well, one thing that was, let's back up. One thing that I didn't talk about, and I probably should because I know it's in the montage, is the artist editions. And I showed you one of the artist editions that are sitting up there on the high shelves and on above everything. And those books are always at 50% out, 50% off during these sales. So that was a Frank Miller. That was a Frank Miller artist edition up there. I may pick that up. That now that it's only 50%, it's down. It'll be down from a $200 price tag. It's Ronin. I'm sorry, I completely was blanking on which Frank Miller one it was there for a second. It took me a second. They've got a $200 price tag on that. It'll be $100 for that thing. I may pick that up and save it for a possible Frank Miller signing down the road. We'll see. I don't know. I wasn't the biggest fan of that book, but although I enjoyed it, I don't know if I really want an artist edition of that. But that was the only artist edition that I saw that jumped out at me that I might want to pick up. We'll see about that. We will definitely do a show after the Easter sale, and I will show you everything I pick up over the course of that sale. And I know in the past I've gone multiple days because I've invited friends to go with me at some of these sales. So we'll see. I'll wait till the whole sale is over before I sit and give you guys a show. But anyway, there's the previews of everything I've looked for. And I was getting ready to say a moment ago, what I didn't look at were the books behind the counter. And there you're going to find your big boy books. And I didn't get a chance to go through those when I went to the comic store and I was looking through everything else because it was behind the counter and I would have had to go through those. And I didn't have a lot of time, to be quite honest. I was getting ready to go to work. So I looked over as I was checking out and I kind of remembered, oh yeah, I need to go through those books over there. There's a giant size X-Men over there. There's all kinds of really high priced Silver Age and some Golden Age. There's the first appearance of Captain Britain that's still sitting over there. I remember seeing that at the last sale. It's still sitting there. They had a $1,000 price tag on that thing. I'm like, no way. There's no way. At 70% off, I'm still not paying $700 for that. But while I'm there at the sale this week, I will take a look at some of the things in there and see if there's anything that piques my interest. But again, we'll do a wrap-up show after the wholesale, and you'll see what I eventually ended up coming home with. All right, so that is it. Thank you guys for watching today. If you like this kind of content, definitely consider giving me a like, hit the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my regularly scheduled episodes that come out Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. This show right here is coming out on Tuesday. It's another special episode, but I had to get it out to you guys because the sale starts on Wednesday. So I wanted you guys to see everything before the sale began. So anyway, that's it. Definitely leave me a comment in the comment section. Which books would you be picking up out of the ones I'm looking at today? So there you go. There's your homework. I will see you for the next show, guys. And remember, every comic has a story.